Hey guys, I know I'm a little late with this album considering it came out on August 14th, which is about a month and a half ago. However, I've just been listening to it nonstop ever since it came out because it's a really good album and you guys should pick it up if you're into this kind of stuff. So obviously, if you haven't figured out yet, the album I'm going to be talking about is the Faceless' latest album, Autotheism. Here's a little history lesson on the Faceless if you don't know who they are. The Faceless are a technical death metal group. I don't remember where they're from. I have to look it up here. I can actually look it up right now. Hold on a second. Encino, they're from California. So they originated in California in the US, and they're a technical death metal group who have released 2 albums prior to Autotheism. The first one being named Akeldama, the second one being called Planetary Duality. Both of these albums are really heavy, really technical, really brutal, and there's something about them I just really liked. I personally am not really a fan of death metal at all, but the way that they did it on their first 2 albums, it was technical enough for me to really get into it. And yeah, these guys really, I thought they really had some good skill on those 2 albums. And the death growls, those are something else I also want to talk about. I'm not sure what it is about these death growls, but I really like them. Before I listened to the Faceless, I can stand death growls. I fucking hated death growls. But I don't know, there's some the growler for the Faceless on Planetary Duality. I'm not sure if they had the same one on Akeldama, but the growler they had for Planetary Duality, there was something about his death growl that, I don't know, maybe it had more power than other death growlers, because I really fucking dug it for some reason. And yeah, so they're one of the only death metal groups I can really listen to and say I really fucking enjoy. Okay, so let's do a history lesson for the Faceless. Now with their latest album, Autotheism, they decided to take a little bit of a different direction because they have a new vocalist, a new growler, I guess you could say, who, in my opinion, is even better than the growler they had before. His growls are even more powerful, which I fucking love. Anyways, so the new direction they decided to take with this album, it's not as heavy as their first 2 albums. I'll say that right now. It is not as heavy or chaotic as their first 2 albums are. And I don't know why, but lots of Faceless fans are really butthurt over this. Because, what comes with this album, it's not as heavy, and they've also decided to add a lot of clean vocals on this album as well. Like, every song except for track 8 has a really good amount of clean vocals in it. Lots of Faceless fans are really butthurt over it. I personally think it's really good. I love the clean vocals. I think they're sung beautifully. And anyone who just wants straight up growling all the time 24/7, in my opinion, is immature. Okay. That's not what made me really, really love this album, though. What made me really love this album is the progressiveness of it. The first 2 albums maybe touched a little bit on extreme progressive metal, but this album really brings it out full force, man. They slowed everything down a bit. They didn't make it as heavy because they wanted to really work on the progressive side, the progressive death metal side of their sound. And wow, does it ever fucking sound incredible, man? Like their skill on this album was just raised through the roof compared to their other 2 albums, man. It's fucking amazing how progressive it is. I think they even sound like Opeth at some points, which is saying a lot because I love Opeth, man. Opeth, probably one of my favorite progressive metal bands of all time. But yeah, so if you're really into progressive stuff like Opeth, and I would absolutely tell you to check out this album, Autotheism. So yeah, it's still pretty heavy though, I'll tell you that. Definitely. There's still lots of growling, lots of death metal riffs, really fast drumming, really fast guitaring, and still all of that. So hasn't just lost its death metal touch total. So, There's a couple tracks on this album I really want to talk about that I think are really, really good. First of all, the first 3 tracks: Autotheist Movement 1, Create; Autotheist Movement 2, Emancipate; and Autotheist Movement 3, Deconsecrate. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Deconsecrate? All 3 of these tracks are like, it's a 3-part. It's a really long 3-part song that's split into 3 tracks. And from here on out, I'm just gonna call it one song, okay? Because it's one song basically. The Autotheist Movement is what I'm gonna call it. This is a really long song, about 17 minutes in total, all 3 of them, and I think this song is an absolute masterpiece. A progressive metal, as well as a death metal masterpiece. Like, it's probably one of my favorite songs I've ever heard in my entire life. I gotta say that. Like, if you've heard this, you know what I'm talking about. The progressiveness of it, the heaviness of it, is absolutely through the roof. And the clean vocals that are on the first track, and the third track, I think are absolutely beautiful. The second track was a little heavier. I had a lot more growling. And I really gotta mention this. The solo to the end of part 2, man, holy shit. I really love the sound of that solo. It's probably one of my favorite solos of all time, I gotta say. It just has this really beautiful sound to it that is absolutely incredible. I know and then the last song, track 9, In Solitude. This song really stands out in my opinion from the rest of the album because it starts off with actually a really soft melodic opening, some really acoustic sounding guitar, really softly, beautifully sung, clean vocals, and then it goes to get heavier again. But I think the beginning of this song is probably one of my favorite parts on the entire album. Although I do think they could have experimented with that a little more, though. I would have liked to hear like a bigger mix of soft and heavier stuff. But whatever. I'm not complaining. The progressiveness on this album is still amazing. I know I keep mentioning that. Anyways, now I want to talk about this. I want to talk about my least favorite song on the album, track 5, The Eidolon Reality. Like, there isn't really any bad tracks on the album, but if I had to pick one that was, in my opinion, the weakest, I would definitely have to pick The Eidolon Reality. It's still a good song. I'll still listen to it and enjoy the hell out of it, but it compared to the other songs on the album, it just doesn't really do much for me. I don't know what it is, but I probably should have scripted this a little bit more beforehand. I feel like I'm just all over the place with this review, just talking about random bits here and there. But anyways, I guess that's my review on Autotheism for the Faceless. It's a progressive technical death metal masterpiece, this album. My rating for it will be 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, that's really good. You guys should really pick this album up, because I picked up the physical copy of it yesterday when I was at HMV, because I had an extra $15 in my pocket. So I thought, why the fuck not? It was there for only $11, so I bought the motherfucker. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. That is my rating for this masterpiece of an album. Yeah. I'm Dreginy. This is The Faceless, Autotheism. Goodbye.